Hi, Chris can't be here today. Someone stole his bananas. So with a bowl of Xanax and a few flesh magazines, he's retired to the forever. So instead of the Sunday prescription, I've stepped in. You can call me Paradigm. I'll be taking you through a guided meditation. So why don't you take this time to lay down, contact the earth, heels, buttocks, shoulder blades, fingers. Let nature, universe, galaxy in one holy trinity fill you as you wiggle your toes. Up foreign feet, along to ankles for twisting. Gaia, mana. From wrinkled knees, avoid calf to thigh, lovely thigh, legs akimbo, energy girl. To the navel, navel, spoiled little navel, but love the navel. Gable, fucked it. Love the gable. What happened was, of course, I got a text from Stephen Carlin, and it threw me. It's not really Paradigm, it's Chris Dangerfield. You're listening to Dangerfield's Sunday Prescription, and yes, it's Friday. It's been a shit week. Someone stole my bananas. Long story, complicated story. A story where, although I've seen the result of many actions, I don't know how or where or what part along that trail the actions occurred that made my bananas missing. And as you can imagine, it put me into all sorts of dramas. It's, when things are going all right, it's manageable, but when they don't, you're in all sorts of trouble. I half thought that I might ship those bananas from Cambodia, and that would have been like, oh, well, your timing is exquisite, Mr. Anus. But unfortunately not. But managed to get things sorted out now, but I am shasted. I thought it was Wednesday today, don't know why, and I've been watching old Arsenal matches, and that's how bad I get on the off-season. I have been watching old... I'll tell you what happened today, actually. It was so beautiful here. I went into Soho Square, the little park area up the top of 5th Street, and I just was in there, shorts, sandals, nice, got my vape on the go. The sun was blistering. When I closed my eyes, I imagined I was in Cambodia, and it was really unconvincing because I wasn't surrounded by Cambodians. I was surrounded by mainly gays and a lot of media types who, although the work they make is incredible, groundbreaking, done stuff that no one's ever done before and in a new way, it's weird because apparently no one wants to give them any money for their utter cack films. So that sort of took it away, but it was so gorgeous. And I'm laying down and I can hear a couple next to me, a man and a woman, and he seems quite funny, this bloke, actually. He's being very dismissive, and his arm, I told you I'm fucked, that's going to happen. I'm not going to edit all this shit out either. I've just got to get this done. It's fucking Thursday. But he had his arm in plaster, and he just kept saying things like, well, he's a wanker, isn't he? Nah, fuck him. And she was just trying to articulate conversation and ask questions, and at the end of everything she said, he went, a total prick. So they were quite funny. And then I sat up and I was chugging on my vape, and I don't know if you know, but I make my own vape juices, and they are quite wonderful. And I seen a big cloud of it just go into them, and I'm thinking, even though it's not smoke, it's steam. And I don't know if people are suffering anything bad from secondary steam, but I saw it go into them, I thought, that's a bit bad. And she went, excuse me. And the first time I tried to blag it as if I was mental. I just sort of looked forward and I pulled up sort of face. It didn't work. She went, excuse me. And I could tell in her voice it wasn't going to be a telling off. And I thought maybe she just loved the delicious vape that I make. And I said, yes. And she said, that the smell from your vape, it's kind of like a cocoa butter. And I said, yes, well, it's a vanilla custard, and I use ethyl maltol to sweeten it. So she said, oh, that's very nice. And then I noticed that the bloke sitting next to me was a blogger, an Arsenal blogger called Gunner Blog. And I remember earlier in the week in his Arsecast thing he does, that an Arsecast, it's an Arsenal podcast. It's not a Soho Arsecast. It's an Arsenal Arsecast, but there's a lot of arse there, especially when you think of Arsene Wenger as well. Many arses involved. But old Gunner Blog, I said, you must be James, and the woman couldn't believe it. She went, no way do you know who that is? How do you know him? I said, it's Gunner Blog. I recognise his voice from the Arsecast, and he mentioned the cast. Not the Arsecast, he mentioned the cast. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of bums, there's a lot of casting. But that was quite nice. It was nice to meet him. I've got a bit of tea here. Oh, I'll tell you why in a minute. So, tea's great, isn't it? Any tea, I just love tea. So, I see him and I come back in, and of course, because I'd had too much sun, I just thought, you know what, I'm going to lay down and do nothing. So I laid down and done nothing, fell asleep, woke up about half hour ago, it's about 10:30. So they are hours. So not only did I have an unnecessary electronic start to the week, then I sort of had the backlash of that, which is just sort of, I don't know what minute we're in, and then I've just had the day lost, where am I? And now I've just slept for 3 hours in the early evening. Crumbs! You know, expect a slightly substandard performance of the Dangerfield act that I had become. What have I got to tell you? My missus, Vietnamese, you know that, and we went up Regent's Park the other day. Absolutely lovely. You know, there's many pros and cons to living around here, but being able to just walk up Regent's Park, just making sure it's recording, because this is gold. It's not, is it? Yeah, lovely to be able to walk up Regent's Park. So we went up there, had a little picnic. I fed a squirrel, which is good, and it was well cute because it came up. I had a peach. Not a whole one, but a little bit of peach. And it came up, put its hand on my thumb, as if to steady himself, took the peach out, and then only moved about a foot away and just sat there eating it with us like he was at our picnic. Who out of you has ever had a meat? Who's had meat at their picnic? Who out of you has ever had a squirrel join you for a picnic? Hang around with a squirrel? Well, I think that's something I've done that slightly excludes me from the rest of the world. I'm sure some people have. Yeah, that was it. That was the scruff thing. Oh, no, I'm not telling you about a fucking squirrel. I need one of Paradigm's relaxing sessions. When we walked up, on the way back, right, we're walking back and we're talking about different things, and her mum and dad have got a man who lives next door to me. He's just moved in. His alarm keeps going off, and he keeps coming round their house and going, I'm awfully sorry about the alarm. I'm awfully sorry about it. I said, it's not intentional. Now, my missus's mum, she talks like this. In Vietnamese, like that, with like this crazy sort of throat. But she's got this such lovely, really, really attractive face. You just sort of, and she's always smiling, and then she goes, what are you doing? It's a little bit like the Russian roulette scene at the beginning of The Deer Hunter, but, you know, you get that out of your mind. And the dad doesn't really say a lot. Lovely bloke. So every time I go round, he has me upstairs on the YouTube, and he shows me stuff about all the evacuation out of Vietnam, because they were boat people. You know, he still is a proper boat bloke. He's a boat bloke. It's a boat bloke. It's like a trendy boat person. they're the hipsters of boat people, boat blokes. But he still has like his khaki trousers on, and he's got these sort of hard steel toe cap sort of shoe things, and you know, he just sort of looks the part. He's got a shaved head, and obviously he's Vietnamese, and you know, you can just imagine him just turning around with his shooter going, "I kill you!" And he's got some of the most incredible stories. Like, his job was to protect and lead convoys of weapons for the Vietnamese army, South. And he explained to me, well, it's kind of obvious when he told me, but I hadn't thought of it before. He said, whenever there's an attack, whenever an attack is planned, he said, because like in the films, they're not like those sporadic things where you just run around the corner and go, yeah! You know, the military is quite tedious in the fact that it's real plans. Oh, we're going to move here, this happens here. You know, and he explains all this to me. And he said the first thing they do is take out the supply convoys, and that's what he had to guard. You know, weapons, rounds, probably communications equipment, certainly food, and certainly water. If you've been out to Southeast Asia, you know what that heat is like. It's just, it's almost uninhabitable. It's not habitable. And yeah, so they're going to attack them first. And he said, and they frequently did. And he tells these stories, and you just, you know, he's sort of walking along, and the van next to him explodes, and everything in it is just flown like 50 metres away. There's just nothing left of it. And you're standing about 5 foot away from it, and you just have to carry on and make decisions. You know, I am a proper pacifist, but I have got respect for people who think they're doing the right thing. I think that, and in a situation like that, that's not like just joining the army. The Vietnamese, like the Afghani people, they are a war people. They've had to be, and that's why that whole distinction between troop and civilian was so blurred and complex in Vietnam. Because some will have you say they all were military, because you've got the Viet Cong, the MVA, and the South Vietnamese armies. Fuck it, I can talk about that shit all day, but our old man, he's a lovely bloke, but he's kind of quiet, he's kind of reserved. So I said to Charlotte, do an impression of your dad. And I wanted her to do it because I wanted to remember what he talked like. So picture him, yeah? Very short bloke, shaved head, Vietnamese face, you know, again, like the mother, an attractive face, but it's been there, you know, 5 years this bloke lived in a war situation. Lovely smile amongst all that. Quite thin, military fatigues on. And I said, do an impression of your dad. Without hesitation, right, she lives there. She lives there. Half the week she lives there. And has done for 30 odd years. And she went, well, she put her hands out in front of her, like he never does. And she went, hey, you don't need to worry about her coming near for the alarm, no? That's her impression of a Vietnamese man. That's it. Hey, you don't need to come around to fix the alarm. This is what he says to Tony, the new neighbour. And I am on the floor. I'm dropped. And a weird thing, the brain, when it, let me have some tea, hang on. It's a strange thing, the brain, because when it doesn't know what to say, more often than not, it gives it a go, and sometimes based on nothing or no knowledge or no memory of what it's about to do. It's a bit like the Freudian slip. You know when, a Freudian slip where you mean to say one word and you say another word, and the Freudian reading of that is that the word you put in its place has some kind of relevance to what your unconscious is trying to say. So our conscious minds are the words we know we're saying, but when we want to say, you know, the classic one for me is at school, when you put your hand up, instead of saying miss, you go mum. That's not arbitrary, is it? You haven't just put your hand up and gone, I must. You know, you've certainly gone for mum, and that's why it's funny. And, you know, we all have it in social situations where someone will do a Freudian slip, and the wise ones among you will think, oh man, you said it, you've actually said it, you've come out of it, and you don't even know it. Awful things. But it was weird with Charlotte, rather than her just going, you know what, I can't think. She's just gone for, was one cornetto. So I'm on the ground and I'm thinking this is the funniest thing ever. She's quite hysteric, but in a more kind of, I don't know what the world means kind of way. And then when we sort of get round again and we just keep bursting into laughter, I say, listen, have another go, but not a big Italian bloke, not a chef who's spinning pizza dough in his hands, but a Vietnamese man. And she went, all right, I've got it now. Hang on, the street cleaner's going down the road. Don't know if you can hear that. Right, so I said, come on, think of what he sounds like, remember. She went, all right, I got it. And then she went, don't worry about the alarm, man. And there you go. So, Regent's Park, squirrel feeding, bad father impressions. Years ago, I was at an art college called Dartington College of Arts, and it was one of the best 3 years of my life. I've been scratching in a biography for a few years now. When I get to that period, for when I was like 18 to 21, or maybe 19 to 22, the most magical time. I'd gone from Dartford, excuse me, I'd gone from Dartford to Rochester Art College to Maidstone Art College, all these kind of grotty Kent sort of shitholes where, all the courses were very commercial, and just a bit about how to make money out of your paintings, an illustration basically. And then when I went to Dartington, and you could just cover yourself in powder and put a bucket on your head and kick a diary, go, I don't like creeps, and they actually mark you on it and take you seriously on that sort of stuff. In the middle of the most beautiful Devon countryside, but also 1 mile pissed walk into town, which is Totnes, the alternative capital of England. It's weird. It's loads of very rich people live there and sort of put money into very poor people's kind of hippie shops. And so my time at Dartington was amazing. 3 years doing a performance art degree. But there was another student there, and his name was Carl, and Carl was blind. He was a blind man. He had the stick, he had the sort of bonky eyes and the dark glasses, and he was a full blind. But what he also had was not being very nice. He wasn't nice. He was unnice blind Carl. Blind people are always called blind Carl when they're not there, but very few people go up to them and go, all right, blind Carl, how are you getting on? There was another bloke at that college, that art college, called Mark, and he was blind, and of course he was also, in his absence, blind Mark. But no one would call it to blind Mark's face. You might mouth it just for a giggle, but you wouldn't just go, all right, blind Mark. But blind Mark was all right. He was just all right. He was a Christian, so he was a cunt, but he was all right. Blind Carl was a bit of an arsehole. He used his blindness, and maybe to his credit actually, but he used his blindness. He'd walk in the college bar, to sort of scope out a girl. He could have walked through a group of blokes to get to a girl to go, excuse me, can you take me to the bath? Not the bath, the bar. He goes, excuse, I told you, oh mad, sorry. He said, excuse me, can you take me to the bar? And so they'd take him over to the bar, and they'd order himself a drink, and they'd go, thanks, where we're sitting. And they'd be like, we're sort of over here, and they'd go, oh yeah, nice, thanks, and then just join them, and then there'd be weird silences. They'd all make their excuses and go, not because he was blind, he was an arsehole. Once, I remember there was a college party, great times. Can you imagine, like long summer evenings, sitting in the old sort of dance halls? And I don't mean like old dance halls like vaudeville. I mean they're dance practice halls. People would practice dancing in them, but they're relatively old. I suppose they're 30 years, which is old in a butterfly's life. Do you know how long they live for? Poor things. How weird is it that they come along like a little sort of day glow maggot, make a little lovely little silk sleeping bag. While they're in there, not only do they grow wings, let's just think about that, they grow wings, but they also grow the ability to fly. And then when they bite their way out of that, they get out, they're like, right, I'm off, and just fly away. Wow. So anyway, these dance halls, they're not like, oh, lovely, it's not Boardwalk Empire. But we're in there and everyone's just laying around tripping and pissed, and everyone's young and beautiful and wearing crazy clothes. It was really amazing times. I absolutely loved it. And we're all in this sort of hallway bit, like a walkway between rooms, and we're all just sort of slouched up against the wall thinking we're a rock band, and it's all going woo 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 woo, and all the corridors like woo 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 woo, and sort of slightly bending, and there's like that, it looks like there's footprints all over the wall, but if you look at them for long enough they turn out to be little miners, and they're hey hey ho, and they're sort of chopping up the flat plasterboard wall. It's kind of strange, and it's lovely, and you're full of ambition and hope. And anyway, blind Carl's coming down the corridor like with his stick, and he goes, "Is anyone there?" And so we just like and we're sort of trying not to laugh, and we're in hysterics. Everything about what we're doing shows hysterics, but there's no sound. However, there is the slight sort of clothes rubbing together and like keys and things. So, you know, a deaf man with his that mythological extrasensory development can sort of tune into it, and he knows we're there, and he went, "I said, is anyone there?" And we know that he doesn't want to know so that he can get through safely. It's because he wants to sit down and just talk shit to you. So we're all just like this, and in the end he just goes, "Oh fuck you," and he just walks through treading on a few legs, and when he gets right to the end he gets his cane and he lets two of my mate James, who's just very quiet, very shy. If it was just him on his own there, he'd have probably said, "Oh, hi Carl, how's tricks, yeah?" But he just joined in with the peer group, and he got two white sticks around the head. The drive down from that college, it was like a 1.5 mile private drive before you got to Totnes, and there was only 300 people at that art college, including tutors, I think. And so everyone knew everyone, if not as a friend, certainly someone you'd said hello to, or at the least you'd seen their face a lot over the years. So it was quite normal. If someone was walking up it and you passed them in a car, you'd go, "Hey, want to jump in, yeah?" And they go, "Oh yeah, nice." The odd one wouldn't. They'd be in bare feet, like with alfalfa coming out their nose, going, "No, I love the walk. I don't do the machine." So you're like, "Okay, no worries. Enjoy the walk." And then you drive down, and it's nice, and you drop them in town, because everyone's going into Totnes. There's nowhere else to go. That's the only place you can go down that drive. Anyway, my mate Paul, we're going down there, and he was my best mate at college, and he still is. That was like over 20 years ago, and we're still best friends, and it's been a remarkable relationship, probably one of the most important ones in my life if you look at the duration of it and the intensity as well. It's been insane. But he said, "Yeah, should we pick up Carl?" Because Carl's walking down the drive, and we go, "All right." So he winds down his window. Carl, do you want to get in? He went, "Yeah." So he said, "You'll have to get in the back." Now this vehicle, it was a Ford. We used to call it a Ford Fininini, but I think it was something like a Ford Fiorani. I don't know nothing about cars, but it was like an ice cream van, but with no seller of ice cream or ability to do so. But you know the shape. So we get Carl in the back, and every time we hit a speed bump, Paul's like accelerating, so Carl's sort of banging around in the back, and Paul's crying his eyes out while he's driving. I've just sort of got my hand over my face, still laughing, just a bit more embarrassed about it. And then we get round the corner, and on the way into town we pass a petrol station, and Paul says, "Anyone want a lolly?" And like, I went, "Yeah, I love a lolly, you know, blazing hot day." And Carl's like, "Yeah, love a lolly." Paul went in, he come out, he gave me a feast. You know those feast ice creams, they're fucking lovely. Like 5 forms of chocolate and loads of nuts on the outside. And you bite it and it's like this. It's like crack melt slide al dente chocolate centre. Just incredible. What an amazing thing. Lovely. And then Paul got his feast and he went, here Carl, and he gave him, he handed it over, a mini milk. Now this is going back 20 years, but your feast is still costing you £1.90 in those days. You know, it's literally a case of the ambassador spoiling us with a feast. But that mini milk, 10 pence of horrible frozen milk substitute, and Paul's just loving his feast. He's like licking it, going, looking right at Carl, going, he goes, it's lovely licking your lolly, isn't it, Carl? And Carl's like really gutted, sort of mouth fucking himself with this mini milk, desperate to try and get some flavour out of it. When we got out of the petrol station, fuck man, this is like a Carl medley of Carl. Maybe he deserved it, you know, it's payback. Not really. This is the next story. There's a roundabout at the bottom of Totnes High Street, and that's where the drive will take you. So we get there, Paul backs up onto the roundabout bit. It's not raised or anything, but it's got like, you know, markings on the road, and he puts him on it. He goes, nice one, Carl, see you later. And we just pull away, and when we turn around, he's just standing on it like blind Carl, and there's cars all going around it. He don't know what way to go, and it looks like he's conducting the cars with his fucking cane. Me and the missus went on that austerity march the other day down on Whitehall and Parliament Square. I mean, it's a DOS for us. It was quite weird actually. My girlfriend, she's quite young and she's never been on any marches. She'd never done the university thing. She went straight into work, so didn't get politically engaged. But I was doing all of those things. Loved those festivals they do in it weird. There's like Gabba playing. She'd never seen it. When she got there and there was like a little Gabba tent, there's always a Gabba tent, she was like, what is it, like a party or a protest? And they're all there going all ketamine down their heads, and I'm thinking, I don't get the link. But she got quite emotional, and it was really nice, you know, that sort of, there is a power when a lot of people get together to sort of fight injustice, and it's lovely. And I always get those things. I mean, there was a time when I'd tie the sort of hanky over my face and put my hoodie up and run at riot police, but not too close. So as long as there was plenty of time to run away before they come and smash me up. But really nice. I well like them. But on the way down there, we passed the French house, and my mate's there. Alice Harter, and I said, oh hello Alice. She went, oh hello. And I went, oh, are you coming Saturday to my gig? She went, yeah, I am coming. She said, what are you up to? I said, oh, we're going down to the austerity march. She went, yeah, that's where we went, but we thought it's so close to the French house, we might as well come and have a quick half pint. And I was thinking how things have changed from the dreadlocks and class war giving out sticks at the poll tax riots to, oh yeah, I can understand that. Well, we're going to pop down there, then we're off to Jay Sheiky's fucking fish restaurant and oyster bar in St Martin's Lane. And so we've gone down there, and then we've seen another load of mates on the way back with their kids, and they'd all had a nice time. So it was quite nice, you know, past a few other people I know. And we got down there, and like I say, the missus got a bit emotional. It was nice. I saw the Socialist Workers' Party when I was in the when I was in the Revolutionary Communist Party, and you'd see Socialist Worker Party, you'd just be like, you opportunist cunts, because they don't seem to follow any method of analysis. They'll just find something that's going on and sort of, you know, they'll get on top of it and use it for their advantage, and it isn't that stable. You know, the Marxists are all about the science of historical materialism and, you know, Marxist analysis, and I'd be there going, you opportunist cunts. And then one bloke gave me a flyer for the RCP, and he looked so that's the Revolutionary Communist Party. He all looked so broken, and I thought, mate, I know it. I was an angry Marxist, and now I just know a bit about Marxism. It's strange what happens, but that was topped off by the fact that we went to an oyster bar in after the austerity march, and sort of my missus don't mess around. They know us in there. They brought us over 2 glasses of champagne. They'd be £30 a glass, and we're like, oh, thank you. And then the missus went, yeah, we'll have a whole lobster and a whole crab. And I said, the last crab we had here was tiny. Can you do something about that? And this crab that came out, it looked like something out of an horror film. If you squinted so that your sense of perspective, aerial perspective, was skewed, you'd have thought you were about to be attacked. It took us 4 hours to eat that lobster and that crab with all those lovely little tools and cracking the shell. And my girlfriend, having grown up eating crab, she knows all the secret little bits that you don't know where they are. So just when you think it's done, there's about another 5 ounces of fresh crab meat and lobster meat, and you're like, oh. So that and two cocktails, the 2 crustacei and the champagne. We were there, I think, 4 hours in total. And then we had this dessert. It was layers of sour cherry and marshmallow. I nearly died, literally heart attack. And my girlfriend has this thing that's got all this honeycomb sprinkled on top, and I'm in there and I got a lovely suit on. The girlfriend looks like just the most hottest woman on the planet, and we're having such a laugh and we're eating this food, and I'm thinking, I can't quite work out the austerity march and my dinner. Right, it's going to be the questions now. Sorry it's been short and sorry it's been late. I can't, when there's banana dramas, it fucks me up. It really does. I get very angry about it. Fucking government, just sort me out, idiots. Here we go. Questions. Thanks for all the questions. It means a lot. Gives me a nice structure to my podcast. 1 second. Oh, that tea was lovely. I've got those flowering Chinese teas. They come in a little ball. Put them in a glass, big glass. Put the boiling water in, and they open up. These ones I've got, there's an arch of these little white flowers. There's a circle of red ones under that, and then all the leaves, and it just grows to a full flower in your tea. And then when it's strong enough, you take it out and dry it, and then it keeps happening every time you do it. It doesn't go from a ball, obviously, it's just already in the flower shape, and you get about 15 cups of tea out of them. That's my tea trip. Here we go then, let's have a look at these damn questions. Fuck, there's loads of them. Okay, Cone Simpsonski. Have the banana surfaced yet? I don't want to talk about bananas. Liz Young says he thinks he might have shit it out when he had the squits, as he didn't have to rummage around during squattage, or so I heard. Oh no, Squidgegate. Sorry, I'm moving around because I'm moving around. Trevor Locke says, how do you do what you do to me? Well, when we had lunch the other day, Trevor, you had a gluten-free pizza, which essentially is a giant digestive biscuit with a little bit of catar on it. Trevor Locke also says, what's a cockbroker? Don't know. Darren Rickard says, did I even get a reply to the last fucker? I don't know. Andrew Thomas says, what's your opinion on Jack Wilshere's £40,000 fine for singing them 2 songs? Oh, I don't know, Andrew, I don't know. Martha Rafferty says, is religion sexy? I don't know, Martha. I just don't know. Trevor Locke, who's being quite greedy here, says, if you had to stroke one of the strokes, which stroke would you stroke? Probably Tom Petty. Some people will understand the depth of that joke. Trevor Locke says, is it ever justified to talk with your mouth full? Someone outside just went, do you remember when you went fucking mental when I had to go home? I get these snippets all night. Right, Martha Rafferty says, depends what it's full of. Trevor and Martha Rafferty just flirting now, and the loosely guised, just stop it. Chris Johnny says, who do you think you're kidding, Mr. Hitler? Never Joseph Goebbels. Mark Timmerman says, why do people keep banging on about why analog is... fuck off, I don't know. I ain't got the time, mate. I don't know. Tally Oliver says, really, Chris Dangerfield, need not address this question. Know the answer. Nostalgia. I don't need your help, Tally. I need your questions. Annabelle Lily Thompson says, Gay Man Laugh? Gay Man Laugh was a game that we used to play at art college where you had to try and make everyone else laugh. If someone made a noise, they laughed and then it was their go. Sounds like fun. Many mental breakdowns. It's just peer group pressure. No one thinks you're funny. You've been up there an hour. Awful game. It was called Gay Man Laugh, but if we played it in the presence of homosexuals who weren't our friends, we'd say, anyone want to play Man Laugh? And if we were in the company of homosexuals who weren't our friends and women who were exceptionally strong feminists, we'd say, does anyone want to play Laughs? Johnny Rich says, here's one. I like that about Johnny Rich. I used to work for him. Can you imagine? My one and only job. He says, he's the only one who's ever gone, here's one. That's so him. Okay, Johnny Rich says, here's one, : when are you going to put your podcast on podcast? When are you going to... That's my mispronunciation. He didn't spell it wrong. He's a very clever bloke, Johnny. Here's one. When are you going to put your podcast on iTunes so I can subscribe? Well, I know about this, Johnny, and the person who said she'd do it for me has just fucked it up. This is podcast 12. Still hasn't worked. I need someone else to do it. If anyone knows how to put my podcast up on iTunes, I'll let you do it. And then one day, when it's a very successful podcast, you'll be able to go, yeah, I'll do that. Matt Johnson says, Dark Side of the Moon or Piper at the Gates of Dawn? Piper at the Gates of Dawn all day long. Anything involving Syd Barrett will be anything else in the popular music genre. That Pink Floyd after Syd Barrett is pretty much cack. I can just about do Wish You Were Here if I'm feeling stupid. But Piper at the Gates of Dawn is one of the best albums ever made, in my opinion. Matthew Morrison says, I'm going to be listening to this week's podcast in Crete. Are you able to give me a fact about Crete? Yes, Matthew Morrison. Matthew Morrison is in Crete. Francis O'Grady, what have you done in the past that you found impossible to... I've cut the end off. I think it's forgive yourself. I think you answered last week. Liz Young says, what's happened to this week's podcast? Silly question, Liz, because I can't tell you until I tell you. Oh, yeah, I did tell you. I said it's coming. Have my bananas stolen. I apologise. Alison Rogers says, why do my questions always get a comedy voice effect when read out? Don't know. Matt Morrison's still asking about a podcast. That is it. Normal quality will resume next week. I'll have it done by Sunday. It will be interesting for you. I'm sorry how long it's took, and I'm quite touched the amount of people who've actually written to me and said that it's they feel that there's a piece missing from their routine, and it's been more than 5 or 6, 7. And thank you very much for listening. I'm doing Sex Tourist, right? Saturday night, The Proud Archivist in Haggerston. It's a fucking brilliant show. I had a full room every night in Edinburgh, queues going out the door. Ask anyone, ask a comedian, ask someone who was in Edinburgh who knows me in that show. Ask me, I'm telling you, it was packed. It's a great show, but also I've got twice as long to tell it, so it'll be the extended mix. Yeah. If you really can't afford it, inbox me and I might be able to do you some half prices. I haven't got any comps left. They go early because I have to give them to industry people, the people with more money. That's the logic. But listen, try and get up there. It'll be really nice. There's already about 50 tickets sold, but we'll make a night of it. I love you. Please go. I am so scared. Okay, thanks for listening to Dangerfield Sunday Podcast. Thanks for your patience. I'll see you later. I'll see you much later.